Hello, my bookish darlings. As some of you may know, or maybe this is your first time seeing me, so you don't know, but I have recently embraced a new drag name. Yes, I am Deus Ex Machina. You can call me Miss Daisy if you're nasty. The artist formerly known as the Booktube Goddess, still the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. So when I released the video announcing my new name and asked for ideas for videos, Evie of She Was Only Evie suggested a video or series of videos about Deus Ex Machina, which is of course the play on words of my drag name. And I thought, that's a great idea. So what is Deus Ex Machina? The term is a Latin phrase for a literary device meaning God out of the machine, or God from the machine. And the origin is from ancient Greek plays, where a machine or pulley system lowered actors onto the stage who were playing the roles of gods. These gods would often solve the problems presented in the play. Now, fast forward 2,500 years. And the term now has kind of a negative connotation, being that rather than resolving a plot or a conflict through the efforts of the main character, some almost bizarre coincidence or divine intervention happens that saves the character and solves the problem. Like, I don't know. Maybe something like there's this young wizard battling a big monster and is about to lose when a magic bird suddenly appears and drops a sword in their hands, and that sword is the one thing that can kill the monster. Or is that too far-fetched? Basically, writers nowadays are often warned to try to stay away from Deus Ex Machina, especially in the endings, because it makes it seem that whatever the main character has done doesn't matter because fate or some bizarre coincidence happens that makes the reader wonder why they've spent all this lead-up time to that conclusion. In other words, it feels unsatisfying. Now, this is actually a new sentiment. Deus Ex Machina is widely used in the classics. Dickens loved a good coincidence. Heck, David Copperfield is almost entirely a series of coincidences. Jane Austen liked a good Deus Ex Machina turn. Oh, while you're visiting your aunt and uncle, Darcy just happens to be in the neighborhood and pops by to propose. What are the odds? But Deus Ex Machina endings are not always contrived. The classic example is H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. Earth is invaded by Martians whose advanced technology steamrolls anything that humans can put up against them. Spoiler alert, after we spend the entire book trying to defeat the Martians suddenly die by getting the common cold. A very Deus Ex Machina ending, but it works here. Why? Because the theme of War of the Worlds is no matter how advanced a species believes it is, or no matter how much humans think they are the epitome of civilization and technology, there's always something out there that is more advanced, more powerful, more vicious than we could possibly imagine. And the Martians find this out by meeting a greater force than they are, nature itself. Another example is William Golding's Lord of the Flies. We spend the entire novel seeing what happens when boys are stranded on an island and try to develop a social order. It becomes a battle between barbarism and civilization. Which side of their collective natures win? In the end, it looks like barbarism and superstition and tyranny will win, but then a ship shows up and rescues the boys. Deus Ex Machina for sure, but it works in this case because the ship represents several layers: civilization, humanity, the necessity of adult guidance, and so on. Sometimes Deus Ex Machina works because otherwise, the ending would just be too depressing. Take J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. The One Ring ultimately wins. It takes over Frodo. If it wasn't for Gollum fighting for the ring and then slipping into Mount Doom, they would have all lost. But that's not the Deus Ex Machina moment. Everything has been leading up to that moment ever since Gollum joined Sam and Frodo on their way to Mount Doom, maybe even further back. But what about afterwards? Eagles suddenly appear and whisk Sam and Frodo to safety. That's Deus Ex Machina, and without it, our hobbits would have been roasted in a volcanic eruption, even though they ultimately succeeded in their quest. Stephen King uses Deus Ex Machina quite a bit, and he's been criticized for having weak endings, but it hasn't stopped him from being one of the most successful writers in modern times. But take a look at The Stand, one of my favorite Stephen King books, but the ending was a literal act of God coming to save the day. Deus Ex Machina can be a powerful tool for resolving difficult situations, but the warning is that when a story relies too heavily on this device, it can leave the reader feeling robbed of tension and conflict. It works best when used deliberately for thematic purposes like in War of the Worlds or Lord of the Flies, but those are exceptions. Generally, endings work best when the solutions feel earned through hard work and conflict. Can you name any examples of a Deus Ex Machina moment that worked? Or can you name one that didn't work? Let me know down in the comments. While you're there, don't forget to like this video. And if you are interested in more videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.